This is Cars and Bids.
I'm Kennan.
I'm Filippo.
And today we're going to talk about scams. But first, I'm going to tell you I have a little bruise on my face here.
You do.
I got beat up by the same guys who are after Jay Leno. No, I fell in my garage and hit my head. Okay, all right, let's talk scams.
Equally likely to falling down a
Yes,
hill.
I fell out in suburban Pittsburgh outside of Hampton Inn.
Just roll down a hill.
All right.
I really wanted a meatball sub.
Right, I really wanted some wings. Okay, scams. We want to talk about scams because there's a scam going around that is affecting people.
Yeah.
No, it's real. There's a scam going around that they're targeting auction site. Our site, the other site,
Yep.
the one in San Francisco, and all of this, a lot of different places are getting these scams targeted to people. It has nothing to do with the sites. The sites themselves are not related at all, but the scammers have found the sites as maybe a way to prey. So we want to talk about the scam, educate you on the scam so you know what's going on, and so you don't fall into a scam. Filippo,
We don't want you to fall into a scam. So what has been happening is that we communicate with our users, our buyers and sellers via chat, and which is built into carsandbits.com, and via email. Sometimes email is just easier for everybody. What we've been seeing is that some unscrupulous actors are pretending to be us. So that they're not sending from a carsandbids.com email, but they're sending an email that's very similar to some of the emails that we send. They kind of have matched some of the subject lines and some of the content. And basically what they're doing is they're reaching out to people that have commented, bid, or won a car and saying, hey, let's finish the transaction. Or if it's somebody that had commented or bid, they're saying, hey, the deal fell through. You want to buy the car directly from me? Here's my wiring information, basically. A little bit more sophisticated than that, but basically that. And that's kind of scary because we're not sending those emails. And if you are a bidder commenter that hasn't been paying that much attention, you might get caught up in that.
Right.
To our knowledge, nobody actually has, thankfully. They've kind of realized this doesn't seem right.
Right.
But it's scary nonetheless.
And I want to be clear, one of the interesting things about this scam is they're getting people's email addresses by basically taking their username on the site and adding @gmail.com to the end of it, assuming that people will use their username as their email address.
Yep.
And so like, I'm not going to say it won't affect you if you haven't done that, but it's much less likely to affect you if you haven't done that. And if you have done that, that's red flag number one. Like, okay, that's a pretty easy way to figure out my email address because it's my username plus Gmail at the end.
Right. So we have advised and have sent out an email to every single person that is a user of Cars and Bids that has
their email matching their username
and said, hey, do you want to consider changing that? You can really protect yourself. A lot of people replied and said, yes, please change my username, whatever. But there are obviously folks that still want to have Doug DeMuro and have Doug DeMuro yahoo.com.
Oh, yeah.
As their email.
I'm one of
that
them.
includes you.
Yeah.
You sent me an email?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to change.
Yeah, fair.
I like it.
But it's something that you want to be really mindful of. It's easy because your username is public. They're not getting that information from us. They're not getting that information presumably from the other auction sites. But it is pretty easy to assume that Kennan Rolson is Kennan Rolson at hotmail.us.
Thanks.
Or whatever.
Hotmail.cn.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I have myriad questions about the scam then. First off, how do you defend against it? I mean, if in theory they're sending from an email that isn't a Cars and Bids email, but they could spoof our email at some point, right?
Not easily. That would be a much more sophisticated.
So right now,
where they're
right now they're sending it from an email that is very clearly not ours.
Very generic.
So the first way to tell is if your email address and your username match, and you get an email, start having your hackles up.
Yeah. Have your hackles indeed.
I don't know. And then your second thing,
He fell.
Jay Little guy beat me up. And then the second thing is verify that the email address is at carsandbids.com.
Yep. And you should also, as a good third step, the same way that you would if you were getting a phone call from your bank, look up what our email is, support@carsandbids.com, quite easy, and email it. Like if you're ever uncertain, reach out to us through some method that you know is safe.
Right. It's like if you ever get pulled over by an Acura, you call the police and you say, I'm getting pulled over by an Acura. Is this okay? And they're like, no. And then you call, then they send a real police.
Well, the police go, do you mean Acura?
Acura. The police would say Acura, obviously.
Also, if it feels too good to be true, if somebody's coming and say, hey, my last deal fell apart, do you want to buy the car? Here's a lower price. You think about how would they have gotten that information? Not legitimately, probably. And also, why would they be doing that?
Right.
Like we offer a lot of supports that can help if in a rare situation that happens. They're not going to be reaching out to you and offering you a deal for doing that. So you
and
should
the seller specifically won't be directly reaching out to you. What about how do we stop it? Is there a way that if can you report the email address that it's coming from?
You should 100% mark it as spam in your email provider. That's the best way to stop it. There's very little we can do. We've taken a bunch of steps, right? We've warned people. One of the ways that, so you as a scammer, you of course are a scammer, so you already know this. I don't need to tell you, but Kennan, if you want to become a scammer, you don't really want to email every single possible username at gmail.com. So you want to try to be smart. Maybe you would try to reset a password. Maybe you would try to create an account. And we've done a bunch of updates on our end so that if you try to reset a password for not your account, we're not telling you if that account is real or not. We're not giving you any information. Right. If you do try to create an account, though, we do show you, hey, this already exists. You can't use that username, that email. And so that is a way that they're narrowing that down.
Okay,
so we've taken all the steps that we can. We're continuing to monitor it very, very closely. We've done a bunch of blocking of IPs. So if we get a bunch of account creation requests where somebody's trying to sniff that out, and there's 10 that come in from the same IP, we're like, that seems suspicious. We're going to block you. But we've taken a bunch of steps in that realm.
2 other questions. Number 1, where are they coming from? Tell us the truth, Filippo. Tell us the truth.
My understanding is that the IPs that they're using are generally far outside the U.S. But
give me a country. We want to know. We want to know.
I would.
He's not going to.
I would be guessing.
He's not going to tell us.
I don't remember.
He knows.
He knows.
It's pretty clearly routed through some VPNs. Realistically,
some VPNs. Huh.
Virtual private networks.
I know what they are, but you're not. You don't want to disclose country. You don't want to throw a country under the bus.
I don't want to throw a country under the bus.
Is it Monaco?
It is not Monaco. To my knowledge, there have not been that many requests coming from Monaco.
They'll drive their F-50s.
Right. Okay, so that's the first question. Second question is, why have they started to target us at this point and the other side and whatever? Like, what's the deal there?
I think it's the reality of having any public information, right? Because we care a lot about transparency, we care a lot about having a good community of engagement. That means that people are commenting and bidding, and it's like a attack vector. It's one that's really important to us as like a community, so we're not going to make it all anonymous or anything like that. But that does leave a little bit of an opportunity for a scam.
Yeah, that makes sense. And everything. It's a site with a lot of physical monetary transactions.
Right.
And so
something to
money
sell.
is happening. Things are being sold, and people are directly. It's not like Zillow where like you're just sort of. It's just a thing. Like there are people commenting on a thing.
Yeah.
So we haven't heard of anybody who's gotten actually caught up yet.
Correct. We've had a bunch of people email us and say, "Hey, I got this email. Is it legitimate?" No, it's not. We've had some people that have kind of engaged, and they got to a point where they were really suspicious. Like they started out like, oh, okay, that's. Let me reply seriously, and then they got a couple emails in and realized, wait, this doesn't feel right. But to our knowledge, nobody has kind of sent money or gone to that level, thankfully.
Right. And I have seen some of these email like transactions back and forth, and it's hilarious because the scammers often mix up cars and bids and the site that shall not be named. Bring it, Travis. But like, it'll say, it'll like mess up the name. It's like, well, I used cars and bids.
Presumably, though, a lot of our users have the same account.
Probably, and they've bid on both.
Presumably, but no, like the email chain is about a car. Cars and bids, not on it. So it's like, well, that's pretty lazy.
Yeah, the scammers are not high quality scammers.
Well, attention to detail is not necessarily there.
No, they're not coming from Liechtenstein.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You denied Monaco, but you're saying I don't know about Liechtenstein.
They're a little bit more suspicious.
Maybe.
No, also not Liechtenstein.
He said. See, he knows because he's already said it's not Liechtenstein. He knows definitively it's not Liechtenstein.
That I've seen.
I'm going to name countries.
No.
Look at you sweating.
You've distracted me from what I was going to say. It's been interesting to watch them become a little bit more sophisticated, though. So they've got a little bit more, in the most recent ones that we've had forwarded to us, they've gotten a little bit more careful about that. They also are using clearer language, and they have clearly seen some of our standard copy and like some of how we communicate with our buyers and sellers. And so they're trying to match that more. So you do have to be pretty mindful to look at where that email is coming from, to think about how legitimate is this? Are you also getting a chat message about this? Are you getting this through some legitimate avenue?
Right. Try to verify as much as possible. If the email address is not coming from us, if you shouldn't be getting that type of email, if we haven't said anything to you on the chat, there's a lot of
ways for you to verify.
Yeah, which I think most people have figured out, and it's not really. Are there other scams? Is this the only one?
Let me think about this.
On the cars and bids, have we had other scams? On the cars and bids?
Can't think of any other scams. I'm legitimately trying to think about this.
We haven't had anything particularly crazy. I mean, with sellers, we request them to send 4 zillion photos, and we always
we verify the titles and
verify titles,
all of that.
We have caught it in earlier stages.
Yeah, we have.
When fake sellers have tried to submit cars.
I explicitly remember a Bronco when they were hot. There was a guy who submitted one, and one of our specialists, Nick, caught it. He like when he looked at the VIN, the pictures were the same from a different dealer that had sold a long time ago, and it was clear that the pictures weren't correct. And then like the history didn't match up on the Carfax, and it was weird. And he caught it.
Yeah.
I mean, we do put a lot of effort into this, to make sure.
And we also put a lot of effort behind bot management and kind of avoiding any kinds of attacks like this. This is just probably small scale enough that it kind of permeates on the edges.
Right.
Which is scary. And obviously we've taken a bunch of steps and we'll continue to monitor.
It does make us look sketchy.
Yeah.
But we're not sketchy.
You got...
It's not us. It's not us that's being sketchy.
You got to
one of the scammers went after me.
It looks sketchy.
And Jay Leno.
Someone tweeted me and was like, hey, this is sketchy. And it's like, I didn't do anything. It's not me. It's you.
Yeah. No,
you're the one who has your email address the same as your username.
Right. And again, we have emailed everybody, and we're probably going to send out another email to everybody that falls into that category to see. We just want to be really mindful.
We're a secure business.
We try incredibly hard, Doug excluded, to build trust in our community. And it is kind of frustrating and scary where somebody that's a malicious outside actor tries to destroy that. They haven't really been successful at that, which is good because I think people understand, hey, if it's like carsandbits.com email addresses, they can use on the things on our website, they can call whatever. There's a lot of ways to verify and kind of keep that trust built.
We got a phone number?
Yeah.
Great. You can call people.
You can call people.
If we're going to scam you, it's going to be by telephone.
Email is the fastest.
Please email us. You'll get a response much more quickly, but yes.
Yes. Email and verify and be careful. And, there are scams in life. And don't fall for them. Don't fall for them. Don't send anyone any money.
Unless you've verified.
Legitimately have purchased a car and you've verified everything.
And we've built up a lot of process to help with that, right? So we rolled out Cars and Bits SafePay, which is a sort of escrow service through our friends at KeySavvy that helps with that. It removes you sending cash directly to the seller, for the seller to make sure that you receive the money before you send the title. Like we've done a bunch of things to make this as safe as possible, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And there's a lot of good information on our frequently asked questions section on Cars and Bids about how to finalize the sale and the process you should go through. I mean, especially for people who maybe haven't done it before, there are just some things that you do to ensure a nice, smooth, easy, legitimate transaction.
And the same way, if you ever bought a house, you kind of get a trillion emails saying, don't trust the routing. And like, I'm never going to email you the routing number for when you put on your down payment. Yep. Use the same, kind of like be safe.
I sent mine on a physical check.
Wow.
Later, I regretted it. I mean, nothing happened, but I was like, that was a lot to put in a check.
That's a lot of trust.
Bold.
Everybody was telling me that routing numbers are scary.
They are scary.
That's a lot of numbers.
Terrifying.
And you know what? I just looked and my routing number today is like 121-12111. And it's like, that doesn't sound like a routing number. That sounds fake.
That sounds like what they put on like the example check.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, by the way, your routing number's at the bottom of every single check you've ever written.
121-11211. Send me some stuff.
But all that to say, please be careful and mindful when you get emails. Verify that they're from us. And just check if you're not sure. If you're unsure, email support@carsandbits.com. And we'll be able to kind of verify for you that it is legitimate.
And there you go. That is we're trying to be as transparent as possible. We want to tell people about this. We want people to know what's going on. We don't want to seem shady like we have any part in this. And obviously we want to have our users be protected. Yep. And so that's our take on the scams.
Yeah.
Comment below if you have any interesting scam ideas.
And also, if your username on Cars and Bits is the same as your email, and you use @Gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail or one of the common ones,
AOL,
email us. If you use your first name at DougDeMuro.com, you're probably okay. Seems more
DougDeMuro.com.
DougDeMuro.com.
Canada.
DougDeMuro.ca, yes.
The United States, Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador.
I can't keep going.
Honduras, Nicaragua. I'm asking about the country of the scammers.
Goodbye, everybody.
Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia.
Goodbye for real.